We've got a caller on the line from Alabama. I think we got Kathy on the line. Kathy, how can we help you tonight?
Yes, I was wondering if the same laws applied for Alabama citizens. So, say, for example, I go to Mexico and I chose to live or reside over in Mexico. Would I have to have a visa in order to stay over there? Like when they come over here, they have to have a work visa, or they have to have a visa, or they have to become a citizen over here. Do I have to do the same thing over there?
Kathy, that's a great, yes ma'am. Kathy, that's a great question because I have friends as well who like to go down to Costa Rica and they're trying to establish residence in Costa Rica. You know, Kathy is here talking about going to Mexico. You know, what happens, you know, for immigration? If you're going for a visit or you're trying to go to stay, what do you have to do if you're going specifically for Kathy to Mexico?
Yeah, so Kathy, specifically for Mexico, yes, if you want to work within Mexico, you're going to have to get some sort of approval, right? Essentially, the government needs to know that you're there. Now, I will say that it's not as a strenuous process as, say, a Mexican citizen attempting to come to the United States and work and live here. It's the numbers of people trying to do that versus going the other way is just much different. So you will not have as tough a time as, say, someone from Mexico who says, I want to come to the United States and live and work. That can quite often be a very lengthy process. So I would say if you have enough money and you're willing to go to Mexico, yes. Something else you want to consider too when you're going abroad to certain countries, right? Is that not everywhere is like Florida or Alabama, right? Not everywhere has the police force and can enforce the rule of law. This is something to keep in mind if you're going to other countries where maybe gang activities or cartels could prey on you and your business. That's something to consider.
Wow, yeah, tough consideration there about that. So Kathy, hopefully that helps you out a little bit. You probably do need to reach out to somebody like Rick to say, hey, look, I'm going to Mexico, I'm going to Costa Rica, I'm going to Guatemala, wherever it may be, and you know, what do I need to do? Because I know that I travel abroad from time to time, and I ask those questions, you know, hey, if I want to stay in this country and I want to, oh, you can't work here. All right, how about if, can I open up a bank account while I'm visiting? No, you can't do that. You know, so you got to know which country and what you're doing. So, Kathy, a great question, and hopefully get you started in the right path to do that. You know, let me just kind of quickly go to something because we're talking about employers and right now, especially with Kathy's question, just real quickly. How do employers bring in, like in our area, we have a lot of folks from Jamaica, we have a lot of folks that do come in from Mexico that help with the local economy, and employers need to bring, you know, the labor force in. How do they do that? Just, you know, if you can tell us that in about a minute or two, to at least scratch the surface of that.
Yeah, sure. I mean, well, there's a number of ways. I would say probably and it really depends on what line of work that you're involved in. Here in the Panhandle specifically where we're at, it's more of a tourism type of industry. So that would be non-agricultural work. One way that many businesses operate is they engage in what's called the H-2B visa, which is a temporary or seasonal non-agricultural work visa. So essentially this business needs to do a number of things. They need to get a certification from the Department of Labor to get a temporary wage determination, and they also have to have an active recruiting period. So you're working with a number of different departments. You're first working with the Department of Labor, you have to get certified, and you have to also show that there are not enough American or green card holders, aka permanent residents in the United States that are willing to take that job at that price.
Okay,
right.
So is it local? So for instance, if you got a tourist and you're trying to get something for the tourism, it's local to Bay County.
Yes.
As far as that assessment is concerned.
Yes, you have to identify the type of job, right? And there's all sorts of codes, right? So of course the Department of Labor, just like all good government agencies, has everything with a form and a code, right? So whatever job you're thinking of, they have that type of job as listed as a code, and they have the wage determination for the metro area that you're working with. So they're usually working with larger metro areas and looking at those statistics, right? Making sure that the wage is competitive, right? And is also legal and is not too low of a wage, et cetera. So once the company goes through that process, they can then sponsor that worker, and that worker then goes through the U.S. consulate in whatever country they happen to be in, and they go for a visa interview. They get approved for that visa, and they're on an H-2B visa. And often these visas, they can also bring their wives or their children, right? While they're here, they can bring their family. Now, those are seasonal, so it depends on the season and what kind of occupation. Most people often do 10 months on, 2 months off. But that person could be allowed to stay in the U.S. for up to 3 years before they would have to depart and then come back on that same type of visa.
So, see, there you go, folks. You're learning something new every night here on Law Call, and we got Rick Shea in the house.